World exclusive, Mr. Dallon Weeks. I don't know how, but they found me.
Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Like, it's a real pleasure to have you on. So yeah, I guess what I want to talk about then is I don't know how, but they found me. We're massively intrigued by everything that's going on with it. So basically, just what is it?
Well, it's a little project that I've been working on kind of in secret for the last year or so. I've ended up with some time on my hands and a whole backlog of songs and ideas with no real outlet to use them in. So I just created one in my spare time. I made a record, went to a bunch of friends, places that had like studios that were willing to like give me an hour here and an hour there to piece this thing together. And my friend Ryan, who I've known for like 10 years, came in to do the drums on the record. And I've known him for like a decade, but we rarely get to see each other. He was in a similar situation as me, working and touring for another band. So we just got to talking about wanting to do something in our spare time. So that's sort of how the idea of working together came about. But yeah, it's been fun so far, and it's been kind of fun to see the reaction of this, of fans finding out about what we've been doing secretly. So.
Oh man, that's so awesome. No, it's really, really cool. And so going on what you've said then, so a full album is done.
Nearly. I mean, it's been a process just because I don't really have, a huge budget for this thing. And my skills at recording on my own are pretty limited. I've been learning over the last year, but I still don't. I don't know it all. That's for sure. So it's nearly finished. I could have called it finished a while ago, but I recently wrote a song that I really want to add to the record. So I'm putting the finishing touches on that one right now.
Awesome. And in terms of sound then, because I mean, I've checked out the live footage of the show at the Viper Room. It's very kind of, it's very rocking and very stompy. I mean, like, it's really cool. Like, what's kind of the general sound of the project?
Well, I've when I was making the record, I was listening to a lot of like Sparks and 70s Bowie and like Joe Jackson. And Oingo Boingo too. Stuff like that was kind of pretty influential when I was making this record. Not necessarily wanting to sound like any of those artists, but I was listening to a lot of that stuff and wanted to create something that was in the same vein, had the same feel to it. So hopefully it's in that neighborhood somewhere.
Awesome. And is this, with the project itself, were you kind of stitching this together in between stuff with Panic, or like how was it working on a time scale?
It kind of was that. Yeah, I would be writing stuff while we were on the road and, bits and pieces here and there. But it was all pretty casual because there was no, pressure to make a record. It was just something that I wanted to do. So any spare moment that I had would be, sitting down to either write or record this thing.
Awesome. And it's, as I say, I mean, we was chatting about the sort of the already sort of dedicated following the project's receiving. Even to the point of, someone's kind of bootlegged a live album of all the tracks you've been playing and everything, which is mad.
I didn't know that. That's crazy.
Yeah, man, that was really, really cool. How does that feel like to have this following already?
Well, it feels really good. I mean, going into it, Ryan and I both knew that there would be fans that would come in and give us a chance, regardless of whether it was good or not. We were going to have be a little ahead of the game because of that. So we didn't want to exploit, fans, take advantage of anybody. That's kind of one of the reasons why we started playing in secret. We both wanted to, kind of find our roles and find out what this thing is going to be. So we decided to start playing around Los Angeles in secret for people who, didn't know who we were, didn't care what bands we were from, and see what kind of reaction that we could get. And so it's been interesting to see it grow naturally from that. That was kind of important for us to do, to be as honest about exposing it to people as we can, and to have it grow as naturally as we can too. Because we knew that we would have, people coming in regardless. So
that's very cool. And in terms of like, obviously you mentioned Bowie and Oingo Boingo and artists like that. Is the project a way of kind of fueling those personal musical passions of yours that maybe that are separate to Panic, and the same for Ryan as well?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it is. It's like I mentioned some artists, that I was listening to at the time. And while I regard that stuff as influences, I really feel like, there's artists that I love that I don't necessarily want to sound like. But influences come from everywhere. And a lot of the time they're even subliminal. It might be like an old song from Sesame Street or something like that you saw when you were a kid,
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. So it was a lot of different stuff. Kind of. It was just. It sounds like you, when you were writing these songs, you were very inspired by so many things. Then. Yeah,
it comes from everywhere. It comes from movies and television and books and anything that I, kind of consume, whether on purpose or not. That those things kind of sink in and inspire the art that you make.
Yeah, for sure. And in terms of the name of the band as well, like where did that come from?
That came from the film Back to the Future, which was a really favorite of mine growing up. It's that moment when Doc Brown realizes that the Libyan nationalists have found him in the parking lot of the Twin Pines Mall at the top of the movie. I always really liked that phrase. It was a movie I really love. It's probably my favorite movie, but that phrase in particular always kind of stuck with me. I'm like, such a cool sounding phrase. It sounds like there's more behind that sentence than the movie lets you know. So
yeah, for sure. No, as soon as you said it, actually, I could imagine the quote in my head. So yeah, no, it's very cool. and in terms of the recorded music, obviously you're still finishing things off, but is the plan to maybe get something out there to people this year?
Yeah, as soon as possible, really. I mean, it's something that I've been working on for a while, and I hadn't really planned on, making it this public as early as it's been, but fans have started to find out what we've been doing and showing up to shows, and so it's kind of made us put everything into high gear and try to get it out there as quickly as possible, but in the most effective way possible as well. I mean, we want this thing to be as successful as it can be, so we're trying to hurry, but also be smart about it. So,
yeah, definitely. So when you kind of started coming up with ideas and plans for the project, then you didn't necessarily kind of know that this was going to happen. And this is all kind of a nice surprise in a way.
Yeah, that's definitely been the case. I mean, there are things that we knew to expect. Like I mentioned before, we knew that there would be Panic fans and Falling in Reverse fans that would come and check us out and give us a chance because of that. So we wanted to be respectful as we could to, the bands that we were playing for, and as respectful as we could to those fans too. It would have been very easy to sort of, do a press release and advertise and say, hey, come check out this thing we're doing. But there was something about that kind of felt disingenuous to me. I think it's a lot more meaningful when you're able to discover a band on your own,
Yeah, definitely. No, completely. I mean, and that's the thing. That's one of the things that's so cool about this is that it really does. It feels so so kind of natural, you know. I mean, we've had people, you know, writing into us asking, you know, oh, when are you going to speak to Dallon? Like, we want to know what this is and all this stuff, you know. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool. So it's it feels like it's just kind of the sort of following, and the band as a thing has taken on its kind of this life of its own, which is really, really cool. So I mean, like, yeah, I guess and in future, like, is there sort of, are there going to be more shows, or is it just kind of you're just finishing off the album, or kind of what's the plan?
It's kind of both right now. We're doing a little run of shows at the end of this month, kind of a miniature tour. It's only like 4 or 5 dates across a couple of states, and because you know we're not a big institution yet. We don't have a van or thing. We're borrowing things. It's a very DIY operation.
Cool.
Right now. So everything that we're doing is on a pretty small scale, but we're trying to get our feet wet, cut our teeth, so to speak, and just get busy, because we do want to put the record out as soon as possible, and we want to play as many shows as we can too. So both of those things are important to us.
Awesome, man. I can't wait to hear the recorded stuff.